Oh, I didn't tell you.
I changed the reservation time, and you didn't show up, so
I could hear a woman giggling, sitting next to my husband, Harry, on the other end of the phone.
How could you do that? Come back quickly.
Huh? It's your fault for being so lazy that you got yourself left behind. You can handle the rest on your own. And I canceled your ticket anyway, it cost a lot.
That's not what I mean.
Oh, we're going under a tunnel now, hang on. You should just give up and go home.
Saying that, my husband hung up without any hesitation. No, that's not what I meant. And if he goes his way, they'll be in trouble. I'm a housewife who has been married to my husband, Harry, for 5 years. We got married after we had a child son. Tom is now 6 years old. After we got married, things were good between us at first, but gradually we became indifferent towards our son.
I will protect you, Janet, and our...
I wonder if my husband's words were a lie when he swore that to me. Looking back, I feel as if he was into it. Harry says he's too busy with work to pay attention to our son, but when I ask him to pay more attention, he doesn't listen to me at all. Recently, I have been receiving one harsh and heartless comments from him. The other day, Harry even said the word divorce in front of our son.
I'm busy with work. You're just a housewife, right? My house, my rules. And if you have with my rules, then why don't you divorce me or whatever? After all, if a woman like you is unattractive, a divorce will be the only way out of your marriage. You can't make ends meet without my don't you dare talk back to me.
I wanted to argue against Harry, but housewife, I had no right to speak. If I rebelled here, it was really divorce. To be honest, I had considered divorcing my husband many times before, but I could never take the plunge when I thought of our child's future. No matter how much the prejudice against single-parent households is disappearing from society, it is still often a struggle. In reality, single parents are often left to fend for themselves and their children without any support or assistance. What is the right thing to do? For the past few days, every day have been like this, and I was exhausted, both physically and mentally. One day, while I was on my way back from dropping my son off at daycare, I bumped into my neighbor, Sarah.
Are you okay, Janet? You don't look so well. Is your son in kindergarten? You're so tired, Eve. They're taking care of your son from the morning until late in the even. Have you been tired from your work? Well, if you had a lot of attention like I do, I guess your life would fun. If I were a dull woman like you, a hard time. I feel sorry for you.
Sarah's husband is away from home for work, but I hear he makes a lot of money. She is always dressed in luxurious clothing and wears expensive accessories. But considering what she wears, she is very elegant, and whenever I see her, she's always bragging about herself, her, and her son. She may not be a bad person, but I like her very much. Oh, everyone has so much to say. I wish she'd understand me at least a little. Normally, I would have laughed it off, but I was exhausted that day, so I didn't complain about my husband.
No, I'm not working right now, so I'm not from work. My husband is always complaining that he is too busy and doesn't really show much interest in our son. Lately, he has been really irritated in front of our son. He would say, like, if you complain, we'll get it. I feel sorry for our child.
After I told her, I regretted saying anything about Harry. When I looked at Sarah, the color one had changed.
You're a full-time housewife. How dare you say that about our winner, who is the pride of the family? I feel sorry for your husband. I have never complained like that. My husband works hard, so it's only that as a wife, You should be taking care of your own kids. This is why unattractive women like, oh, what a good wife and what a good man. I wish you could learn from me too.
Sarah takes the opportunity to look me and boast about what a good wife compared to me. I knew she'd do this. Maybe it's best not to get too deeply involved with her. After, I just kept the conversation light, greeted her, and hurried home. But that night, Sarah suddenly came. Of course, I didn't invite her, but she invited herself in.
I too would like to know more about this, Janet. Would you like to have dinner with me tonight? I like to cook, but my husband is very picky about food, so I'm excited to learn a lot from you. We just became friends, and I'm looking forward to trying out some of your recipes. Isn't it great that I'm motivated? I'd eat anything, so could you cook?
Sarah and her child suddenly barges in and tries to eat our dinner without any hesitation. My husband, who is pretty friendly, accepts them in. But it was me who them. Sarah's children ran around as much wanted, and Harry had kept about how proud she was of them. I was deeply frustrated. We had finished preparing the meal, sitting at the table, when Sarah started talking about our conversation. We had lunch.
Harry, you're doing your best though. You better make sure you tell your that. I told her that since you work so, Harry, it's only natural that she should good care of the child. I think that I'm perfect at that for our family. I work hard every day to take care of the house and the children for my husband. There's no way I could ever complain about that.
Janet, you really complained to her that? I can't believe you. You guys are only making a living be what I earn. Do the bare minimum?
I thought it was best not to make a big deal out of it. Yes, you're right. I should have been more careful. I apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused you. Sarah, who had been watching this situation, suddenly said something out of the blue.
Let's go on a trip to treat your husband. The kids are going to graduate soon, aren't they? My husband is working away from home, so I'm making my kids feel lonely. It's more fun with more people, and okay, with you guys, I'd be happy to you.
I thought that even Harry wouldn't board with her idea. But he seemed pleased with Sarah, who had stood up. Even the kids, who were pure and innocent, got involved. And everyone except me was in the mood for a trip.
Leave all the preparations to Janet. She's a stay-at-home mom, so she has time for that.
That's impossible. With your salary, we could never aft pay for a trip for 5 people. Besides, it's a one-parent situation.
You're blaming your own son? You don't even appreciate me enough. You're an absolute disgrace.
That's right. You don't appreciate enough at all. You don't know your own worth.
Then, do you think that you're a great person? I choked back the words that were trying to come out of my mouth, and after a pause, I apologized to both of them. I had no choice but to go on the trip.
Your neighbor is having a hard time with her husband, so you better do all that you can to help her.
Who do you think whose fault is it that I raised our son all on my own? He can't just keep on getting away. He was really getting on my nerves, just trying to suppress my frustration.
With the hotels and the details of your two mentioned, it would inevitably cost several $1,000s. If I spent that kind of money on a vacation, my savings would be gone.
I've always been providing for all you should at least pay up this time. If you don't have it, be in debt or from your parents. If you're going to borrow money, make sure you can pay it back over the course of your lifetime.
No matter what I said, Harry wasn't listening to me. I gave up trying to argue further. After some trial and error with poles and coups, I finally managed to pole vault. I was able to arrange a nice hotel and Sarah was very satisfied with the plan.
So, my ideas were great, huh? I thought of every detail and idea to make sure you have a great getaway, Harry.
I was the one who prepared everything. Sarah spoke to Harry as if it were her plan. My husband was happy with her performance.
How useless you are when Sarah here talented. Shame on you, Janet, for making me this.
Why am I always the one to be blamed? I never imagined this kind of marriage. Still, I could not divorce for the Tom. I desperately told myself that. On the day of the trip, I headed for station with Harry and Tom.
Oh, the bus.
My son's eyes lit up as we were traveling through the countryside for the first time in a long while. I got the tickets, so we waited for her kids at the bus station. While we were waiting, Tom wanted to use the restroom, so I took him to the one nearby and returned to the bus stop to find that Harry had disappeared, leaving only me. Where did he go? And Sarah still hasn't shown up either. I still couldn't get in touch with when it was time for the bus to dep. I had no choice but to call Sarah.
I changed the time of the bus. We got on already. I guess your husband didn't tell you. He said he wanted to relax and ride premium limousine bus. So I changed it.
I asked her to give the phone to Air so he could talk to him, and my grumpy husband picked up the phone.
To be honest, you and Tom disturb me. I'm gonna enjoy my trip with Sarah, who understands me.
I'll head over there. So, can you wait for me?
I asked him nicely, but he brushed quickly. It's not what I meant. My husband hung up the phone during our conversation.
Sorry, I guess we can't make the trip. We were so much looking forward to it. I'm really sorry.
It's going to be okay because I'm your mommy.
My son's kindness almost made me cry.
Let's go home today. I'll take you somewhere better next.
When we returned home, a man stood at Sarah's door. Does he want to see Sarah? Who on earth could he be? If he is related to Sarah, then I do to get too involved. I pretended not to know him and was walked by when he began to talk to me. 3 days later, Harry called me.
What happened to the hotel payment? There's no way I can afford to pay that much money. Why didn't you settle the bill and act? You're so stupid. Come here right now.
You asked me to leave, and now you come. I've had enough of this. I had gotten this hotel through my contacts. If I didn't go, then they would have the regular amount of $3,000 due. When I was told not to come along or trip, I had contacted my father, and he had told me what happened.
If you don't pay up now, we're getting a divorce.
Oh, really? That's great then. I wanted to divorce you anyway.
When I was saying this, I had a huge my face.
Really? Then what a great timing. I'm much more compatible with him, able to support him. Thank you for divorcing him. You really are an idiot.
Thanks. Unlike some idiot wife, Sarah really understands me.
I'm sorry to the two of them who are all excited on their own, but it's that it makes me laugh.
Well, that's just how it is for now. You have to pay the hotel fee.
Then Harry shut his mouth. Well, of course he would, because his salary is only $700 a month. Harry was pretending to be a major company. We managed to pay the rent, where we now with passive income from the pro bought when I was still single. Yet, Harry only provides about $300 a month, which he boasts. About as if it's enough to cover all our food expenses.
Honey, you know you shouldn't lie. You have been lying, haven't you? I can't have a man who doesn't make money, okay? This means that my husband is way ahead of me in terms of his fitness level.
I said nothing more and handed the man next to me.
I'm divorcing you.
Janet, you've been cheating on me, haven't?
Why are you there, honey? I thought you were away working.
Tom's surprise, the man in the suit who talked to me 3 days ago was Sarah's husband. Upon hearing the situation, Jack had apologized repeatedly and told me that Harry and Sarah were having an affair. He said that he had come home suddenly without telling Sarah in order to get evidence of the affair. I asked my father to contact the hotel and ask them to take pictures of Sarah and Harry's affair while they were staying there. All I could see in the pictures were kisses and Sarah sticking to Harry being goofy. Harry, who looked happy and confident with Sarah, was also making Sarah feel sick. I had the divorce papers, which Harry had previously threatened to throw at me, thrown in my face, since he had already signed them. Eventually, as soon as I found out affair, I took the plunge and filed divorce papers to finalize it. It was a decision I made after consulting with my child and thinking through all the options. And then finally, I was free from Harry. I was told that Sarah's kids were not at home, so I hurried to look for them and found that they had been left at their grandparents' house. When Jack went to pick up the kids, they told him about the affair and the photo evidence, and Sarah's parents apologized to Jack with tears in their eyes. We were waiting to hear from Harry, who had cheated on Jack and me while we prepared for our divorces.
No, that's wrong. I heard that Janet was a housewife. I pretended to have an affair with Janet would change her attitude.
Sarah was trying to make excuses, but it did look like she was doing intentionally because she did leave at her parents' house and she was supposed to have the affair with Harry.
I'm sorry for all the things I have. I will pay for this trip from my salary. Please forgive me.
There was no way I could say, yes, right, I forgive you.
Well, after all, a man like you who's unattractive is finished once you divorce. You can't do anything without my money, so don't you dare argue back with my decision. I don't want a man who I can't really talk to.
Harry was told by the hotel staff that he couldn't pay up now, so they would file a report with the police. However, Harry's wallet wasn't enough, so he had to cry for help. In the end, Sarah's parents paid all expenses for the hotel, and they returned home safely. Later that day, I hired an attorney formally request a divorce, alimony of my son, and child support. I told Harry, who insisted that Tom needed a father, that he had already been through enough and that he had left him behind, but to never speak of him again. And Jack was able to get a divorce any problems too. Sarah, who did not want to leave him behind, but he had only brought with him the things that were truly important to his parents' house while she was checking in. So he left with the kids and divorced through an attorney later on. Sarah, who was left at the house after her husband died, moved out because she couldn't afford the rent anymore. She should have moved out first, but she stayed there because of the penalty fee and got evicted. Of course, Jack also demanded that Sarah had no choice but to return to her parents' house, where her parents would beat her back into shape for being such a disobedient daughter. As for me, I feel fine because I can live with my son in peace. I invited Jack and his kids to stay hotel. I am so much happier now that my ex is gone, and so is Tom. I wish this life could go on forever. I thought to myself genuinely as the smiling faces of the children